You don't change yourself, you change your methods. When you recognize your learning style or your temperament, and you recognize your child's, and you see there's a conflict, the way you deal with that child, the method that you use needs to change. The children do not understand this. As adults, we need to understand and to make the application.
So we have to adopt a relevant method.
Yeah, but what about if I also see it a different way, because if you can also get the child to understand they need to adapt their methods for my learning style as well. And I think that it's valid to say to the child, here are some key things. It's just not optional, it's not flexible. But if you understand that these things are important to me, I can work with you to find out what key things are important to you. Like my children have learned to adapt to me. If I'm on the phone, that's not the time to distract or disrupt me. They know, oh, she's on the phone. They find something to do until I'm complete with my call, and then I'm more happy. But if they interrupt, it's not a good thing. So I think it's feasible to teach children to adapt to us just like we have to adapt to them.
I think you're speaking more in terms of discipline and rules of the family than in a learning style or a temperament. Because in both cases, these are things that God has created in us, and they are not, they're the way we learn more comfortably. They're the area in which we function more comfortably. But children can't analyze this. If I'm a teacher and I am one learning style, which I would like to share with you the different kinds, and I always use that style in my teaching, all the other children who are the other three learning styles are going to be left out because they're going to not understand as well. They will get some of it, but they won't understand it as well. So we're talking about two different things here.
I see.
Now, I need to know if I understood you right with my question. You said we have to get to learn the method of getting to know them. You mean to say, do we have to give them choices?
Oh, absolutely. That is one of the areas that we have fallen down in past generations so badly, is that we made the choices for our children and expected them to walk in that pathway. And as a result, I know from my own, I hate to admit this, but in my own family, we did this with our son, and it just does not work because he has grown up as an adult, a mature adult, saying the hardest thing that he has to do in life is make choices.
Wow.
And I take that as my failure to teach this. But of course these choices have to be applicable to the correct age of the child.
Definitely.
Now, if they don't agree to our choices, now what would be the next step we have to take?
Well, let me give you an example. You have a 3-year-old, and you want this 3-year-old to have an adequate diet. And so you offer for breakfast 3 different choices, and you want them to do choice number 1. But they don't really like that. They want to eat choice number 3. So let them eat it. That you have already determined that all 3 are correct choices, so to speak. They're healthy choices. You're not giving them donuts versus cereal. You're satisfied with your 3 choices, but they get to make the choice, and you live with it. Your child is getting ready to go to school, and they put on an outfit that just makes your eyes cross, but that's what they want to wear.
Well, see, I disagree, and maybe this is a cultural issue, but I think that parents need to explain and teach their children what is appropriate or consistent with the values of the family. So I won't necessarily give them choices to wear clothing that I'm purchasing. When I purchase it, I've done what you just described. I limit the options, so before it even comes in the home, it's already been screened.
That's true, but suppose you have bought them red, orange, and yellow and outfits, but they choose to put the orange and the red together. Now, offensive to you. The child likes it. The child goes to school, his friends say, oh my, why don't you put those colors together? He's learned a lesson, or she has learned a lesson. But there's no consequences, no long-lasting consequences. And you don't give choices where there are life-changing consequences.
Let's go back to our learning style. My daughter is very left-brain, concrete, so she's very reflective learner. You know, talking about learning math, she watches like DVD math tutoring program. She gets it. But my son is not reflective learner. He is perspective learner. So he has to practice. He has to solve the problems. Not watching the DVD, it doesn't help him. Yeah. So is that some sort of thing that I need to watch?
Well, I would like to address this from the area of the 4 types of learning styles that we are discussing today. The one is the innovative learner. Okay. And then, again, it's kind of like the sanguine we talked about earlier. They're the people. They have to discuss it to learn it. They don't just memorize it and automatically they understand it. In the discussion, they learn from others, from what they've been taught by the teacher or whatever, and then they need to talk about it. This is the way they're comfortable in their learning.
Right.
The analytic child is the question child. Why? What? All the facts. And they are more learners in learning, like you mentioned. They like structure, they like routine, and they learn best when they can experience these. Now, the common sense child learns by getting involved. You don't teach a girl who's a common sense learner to bake a cake by showing her the recipe and you doing it all. You give her the measuring cup, the measuring spoons, you let her do it and you oversee it, because that's the way she will learn. And then the dynamic child is going to frustrate you if you're not a dynamic yourself, because they will take the information you give them and they will want to change it. And let's face it, folks, sometimes they improve on it.
Well, thanks for sharing, ma'am. Understanding your children takes effort. You have to commit it. It's being relevant to your children so you can be more effective parent. Thanks for joining us, and until next time.
We'll put our children first and help them to grow. Put our children first and make sure they know Jesus loves them so, wants to be their friend too. Put our children first and make sure they know Jesus loves them so, wants to be their friend too. Put our children first in church, at home, and school. Put our children first in everything we do. We'll put our children first, 'cause Jesus loves them too.
You're watching Hope Channel.